Dear diaries, this recording, I'm too pissed to do a British accent or redneck. I'm fucking furious. You have no idea how dirty. Remember, we did it successfully. Once upon a time, Catholic priest meant, oh, the upstanding member of the community, no one can stand up to him. He can do whatever he wants and rape as many boys as he wants. Today, when you say the words Catholic priest, the first thing most human beings, at least Americans, think is child molester. We're almost at the point now where Americans realize if you say the word police officer, or the words, or cop, it is a euphemism for violent criminal thug. They rob people every day. They admit they rob people every day. The police had to do stings on the police themselves because police are so corrupt. Example, you know how many stings they do on narcotics divisions because they would steal all the drugs and money? The police have said on millions of occasions that the police are dirty and corrupt. So either the police are dirty and corrupt because they lied about that, or police are dirty and corrupt because those police didn't lie about it. But regardless, there's no more debate. The police said the police are criminals. We're done. We're done. We just have to all spread the word. Policeman means criminal. Now, we're not at the point yet where we're getting closer now where people are starting to realize, oh, a district attorney is a professional liar and a criminal. That's why they get immunity, so they can commit crimes. You know who else gave criminal government employees immunity? His name was Adolf Hitler. Look it up. He gave his police immunity too. I'm starting to see a pattern here. But every reporter in America says, I don't see any pattern here. I see heroes in blue, and I see evil terrorists criticizing law enforcement. I don't know what the Bill of Rights is. I didn't know that the Bill of Rights protects us all from police, which would suggest that the founding fathers thought police were criminals. I didn't know the Bill of Rights protects us from judges, which would suggest that the founding fathers say that prosecutors are criminals. I didn't know the Bill of Rights protects us from judges, because that would suggest that the founding fathers said judges are criminals. Again, the Bill of Rights protects us from 4 groups: police, prosecutors, judges, and politicians. It doesn't protect us from murderers or rapists, regular civilians. Each one of them, First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, all of them are because the founding fathers repeatedly said, it's even in the Declaration of Independence, that the police are the real criminals, that the government are the real criminals. That's what the fucking Declaration of Independence says. It's 2015, and most of America plays dumb, and 100% of reporters play dumb and say they don't know that the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and the Declaration all say the same thing. Law enforcement is the real criminal and the number 1 criminal in human society. This debate was settled in 1776, ladies and gentlemen. The police are the real criminals. The judges are the real criminals. The DAs and prosecutors are the real criminals. But they tricked you all. It's amazing. I don't know any left-wingers who've heard of the Bill of Rights. Who say, oh, yes, we've heard of the Bill of Rights. Well, then you know it was settled in, that's from like the late 1700s. But we know that for at least 200 years, it was settled that the real criminals are the ones still enforcing the laws. Wait. It's 2015, and the news media continues to pretend that judges are the good guys and prosecutors are the good guys and cops. None of you have heard of the Bill of Rights. Fucking liars. They're all... Again, I'm sorry. I'll debate you anytime, any place. The Nazis had more honest intentions. The Nazis were more honest and more law-abiding. Even Jewish scholars admit, yeah, everything they did was legal. That's right. Every Jewish person on earth will tell you the United States is infinitely more crooked and scary than the Nazis were. Hitler wasn't funding terrorists all over the world, but we still do in 2015. Please, my fellow Americans and others, you have to spread the word. If you're a songwriter, put it in a song lyric. Do anything. Artists, everyone. We artists and musicians and stuff can change the world by spreading the truth. Now, I'm going to tell you a big, big secret that I've never seen anyone report ever, and that is that almost every judge in America today is a federal criminal on the current books. Example, do you know how many judges? I'll give you a hint. I have a case in federal court right now. The judge is a former prosecutor. Now, people just think, oh, that's bad. Oh, if she's a former prosecutor, she might lean towards crooked government because she used to work for the dirty scumbags in the DA's office. Remember, I've been a victim of lots of crimes. In every case, the DA protected the violent criminal. The guy who stabbed me 8 times, not 1 day in jail. The kid who murdered 4 people while drunk driving, not a day in jail. Oh, the guy with a joint, weeks in jail. Oh, the guy playing a uke, 6 days in jail. You're going to see, now we got billions more examples like this all over the world. It's not just America where power corrupts. Police are inherently corrupt. We knew that 5,000 years ago, people. Come on, stop it. It's we can change this. We can fix this. But we can first have to spread the truth. Now, I go further than anybody because the NYCLU is asleep, the ACLU is asleep, and Occupy Wall Street appears to be asleep. Everyone seems to be asleep but me. I don't see anybody making this point. I argue that if a judge has any background in law enforcement, you've just committed a federal crime. Example, maybe you haven't heard of the 14th Amendment, due process. Maybe you haven't heard of the 14th Amendment, equal protection. Due process means you get a fair shot in a court of law. Due process is what Hitler gave us with the White Rose Gang for instance, most of the people in the Reichstag fire got a fair trial. Everyone was acquitted. Remember that. Under the Nazis, all the defendants except for one were acquitted. So the Nazis didn't fix the trial. The White Rose group, those kids were all convicted. But even their allies all say, well, they were actually guilty. Mandela's fans say he was actually guilty. Martin Luther King Jr., love it or hate it, he was actually guilty of breaking the law. Rosa Parks was actually guilty. They didn't frame Rosa Parks. They didn't frame Martin Luther King Jr. into jail 33 times. Martin Luther King Jr. chose to break a law. That's no connection to what we see in most of real life, which is where all of our judges and law enforcement are all absolute, utter criminals, top to bottom. You see? I forgot one of my points. This isn't a secret. In America, we have the scales of justice. And in America, any mistake, any error, any tilt of the scales must go to the defendants, not the government. It's not a secret. It's pretty well known, very well established and settled. There's no debating this. It's just that a lot of Americans don't know it. A lot of defendants don't know it. Most judges don't know it. No prosecutor know it. No cops know the law. Any tilt of the scales of justice must go to defendants. But you'll find every single tilt goes to police. Every single shred of our government, as far as law enforcement goes, is illegal, unconstitutional. They're all federal criminals under current laws. Now, their argument would be, we put a judge in power who's a former law enforcement agent. Again, there's all kinds of lawyers they could put in as a judge. In fact, in America, you don't even need to have a law degree to be a judge. That's how fucked up it is. You just need to be appointed by some political scumbag who puts his friend in a gig an easy gig where he doesn't have to do any real work for the rest of his life. Gets a big pension. It's completely an organized criminal racket again. Occupy Wall Street doesn't tell you that. Anonymous won't tell you that. Julian Assange doesn't want to talk about it. Ed Snowden won't talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it but me. It's pretty depressing being this lonely. Fighting billions of Nazis by yourself and all your allies are sleeping. Like Edward Snowden, he did some good, but almost everything he told us we already knew. You see, that's not that helpful. Preaching to the convert is not that helpful. Of course the U.S. was spying on all of its allies. Don't get me started. I applaud Edward Snowden immensely. You understand my point, though. Uh, their argument would be, we appoint ex-prosecutors to be judges, not to tilt the scales to police or Goliath. We do it because, and when you ask them, why, then why do it? If it's not to tilt the scales of justice, then why did you do it? Why didn't you appoint all civil defense attorneys to be judges? That, you would fear, would tilt the scales of justice to defense. So why did you do it? People don't know this. Giuliani and Bloomberg changed the system in New York City. It was why Ed Koch, who sucked off Giuliani, that was what broke Ed Koch. Ed Koch was furious. He's like, we created a judicial system where the judges don't have to make the decision that the mayor likes. They're supposed to enforce the laws, and if that pisses the mayor off or on, it doesn't matter. They're supposed to enforce the law, not enforce what the mayor likes or doesn't like. Koch was furious that Giuliani wanted to change the system, which is, if a judge makes a decision I don't like, I'm going to fire that judge. Now, that's super totalitarianism. It's a super federal crime, but who's going to go after him? Giuliani is friends with all federal law enforcement. He was offered the head of the FBI and declined it. Giuliani's a former U.S. attorney. That means he's one of the most former top cops in the country. And you know about professional courtesy. A dirty cop in this state is usually going to get the same protections as he rapes and robs as a cop in the same state. All the cops in the country look out for each other. It's a giant organized crime racket. Professional courtesy is what it's called. Right? If you're drunk driving in Alabama, but you're a cop in another state, that cop is supposed to give you a warning. Professional courtesy. Elliot Spitzer, Democrat, reformer, he should have gone to jail. Remember, he got caught going with hookers, which is a non-story. They all go to hookers. Why did he get singled out? Because he was standing up to Wall Street. They took him out, Roger Stone and them. And the news media, they took him out. But now, even I agree. All right, the prostitution shit's irrelevant. But the motherfucker laundered the money. He laundered the money that he used to pay the prostitutes. He had to go to prison. He had to. If he didn't go to prison, then they just committed federal crimes. Double standard. Remember, in America, under current laws, all double standards are super illegal. They're some of the highest crimes. They're much higher than murder. They're some of the biggest crimes in America. They verge on treason. When anybody in government does anything that's a double standard, it violates the Bill of Rights. Now, the Bill of Rights is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bill, a law, that gives us rights to protect us from these fucking motherfucking super Nazis. That's the point of the Bill of Rights, ladies and germs. The judges, first of all, are lawyers. Now, we live in a world where even Shakespeare said we need to murder all lawyers. The rich say we need to murder all lawyers. The poor say we need to murder all lawyers. I think even the Bible does. Maybe even the Bible says that lawyers are scumbag criminals. And most of them are. I've dealt with good lawyers and bad lawyers. They're all dirty as shit. You could talk to rich people who have teams of lawyers. These are lawyers who work for them, do whatever they say. And those rich people will tell you that lawyers are scum. So what do we do to fix it? Nobody did anything. No one did a fucking thing. Y'all grabbed your potato chips and sat back on your fat asses. And then you complain your taxes are so high because you have to pay billions to fucking fix all the mistakes by these fucking idiots. These fucking federal criminals. Now, I would argue it's treason, and I'd say I'm 98% accurate on the law on this. If a government public servant tries to overthrow the Bill of Rights, and defying the Bill of Rights is the same thing as trying to overthrow the Bill of Rights. That's the exact definition of treason, you see. And the Republicans say we can hang you if you defy the Bill of Rights. I agree with the Republicans that we should hang Rudy Giuliani and Mike Bloomberg and all Republicans. I agree. The Republicans have said it every day, ever, that we should hang all Republicans. They say it every day. They hate liberty. They hate liberalism. Liberalism means liberty. Yes, we all agree. You say you hate liberty. We say you hate liberty. Yes, there's no disputes here. You say you committed treason. We say you committed treason. It's a deal. Why isn't anyone enforcing the law? Oh, that's right. Because Republicans control law enforcement because law enforcement, by its nature, is a Republican concept. It's a power-hungry totalitarian system by its very existence and design. Oh, what Giuliani and Bloomberg did, super illegal. It was so illegal that not one reporter would report it. Well, one would. And he lost all his jobs as a reporter for all different newspapers. And he was thrown in jail and tortured over and over again. That's probably a fluke. Over 800 days. They gave me 6 years in jail for political speech. 6 years in jail for exposing the crimes of a DA who eventually went down in flames anyhow, was headed to prison. Brooklyn DA Charles Hines, Democrat. Not really a Democrat. A lot of them aren't Democrats. But they claim to be. Because it's a Democrat town, you want to fit in. But you almost can't be law enforcement and be a Democrat. Can't. Even though the Democrats are corrupt, they're not as corrupt as the Republicans. I think we all understand that. Both parties are corrupt, of course. But most Democrats aren't actually Democrats. They're Republicans. They just like to think they're a little more civilized than those totalitarian Nazi pigs. Giuliani and Bloomberg changes it. It used to be that the mayor appointed all the misdemeanor judges, and he would mix it up. Might be an ex-prosecutor who has experience in the criminal court system. It might be a defense attorney here and there. It's a mishmash. Giuliani said, why the fuck are we doing that? He's an ex-prosecutor. Giuliani said, why don't we? It's stupid. Why would you appoint a judge who doesn't rubber stamp whatever the mayor says or the police and DA say? It's like, wow, you are maybe the dumbest motherfucker in human history, because even dumb people know you can't do that, you motherfucker. The judge is supposed to be a referee, keeping shit fair. But very few judges do that. Now, if you appoint... that's why Koch got pissed, though. He's like, you're corrupting the entire judicial branch. Well, of course they are. They're called Republicans for a reason, you dumb fuck. Koch, what a weasel that guy was. He ran for mayor as the Republican candidate and the Democratic candidate. That should be illegal. It's like a form of false advertising, right? Remember that. Here's one of the zillions of fights I'm doing because there's not one other person who gives a shit. There's no lawyers out there who care about civil rights or justice. Find me one. Find me one. Dare you to. Find me one judge. I mean, one lawyer in this fucking country, one law group, one fucking civil libertarian group. Find me one who's suing, arguing that the only reason you appointed ex-prosecutors to be judges was to violate the Bill of Rights, to violate all of our due process, etc., to make the system and the fight in court completely unfair. Now, they'll argue, that's not why we did it. So then you say, why did you? But when we've tried to ask Giuliani and Bloomberg, they've pled the fifth every time. Because think about it. There's not even a dumb lie. That's one of those ones where you can't even come up with a lie to cover it up. There's no lie you could come up with. Well, they're going to say, the only people available for the job were all prosecutors. Nobody believes that. New York City is the world capital of lawyers. There's all kinds of lawyers, housing court lawyers. There's a zillion lawyers who have no criminal experience. And we know they've hired many judges who have no experience in that field. And you could argue it's good to have an outsider, it's bad to have an outsider. But we all agree with this. There's only one reason you would appoint ex-prosecutors: to tilt that scale. Nobody disputes it. All sides agree that would be illegal. All sides agree that would be a federal crime. All sides agree. I'd say almost everyone agrees you could hang Giuliani for treason. You could hang Bloomberg for treason. Now, every reporter helped them cover it up and keep it secret from the public, because the public probably wouldn't have agreed with that. Why did the reporters cover it up? Because their intention, and this is what hangs them. It's not like they made a mistake. Their intention was to overthrow or cancel the Bill of Rights. Now, that's why I say, again, here's another example of why more proof that journalists, and remember, I say that as a journalist, more proof that journalists are the dirtiest criminals in the history of mankind. There's a big, big difference between a government official who hates the Bill of Rights because it solely polices him, and a reporter who the Bill of Rights protects every day with freedom of speech and freedom of press. You see? Who's more disgusting? The fascist who supports fascism, or the enemy of fascism who supports fascism? Who's more vile? We all agree the journalist is. Just like when a white politician says, I don't believe in equality, fuck gay marriage, etc., fuck giving women the right to vote or equal pay. When a white politician says he doesn't believe in equality, that's despicable. But when a black politician says he doesn't believe in equality, I can't measure it. I cannot put a measurement on that. Is it 1 billion times worse? Is it 1 trillion times worse? I don't think you can measure it. I really don't. The difference between a white politician hating equality, because he's never had to care about it, he's white in a white country, and a black politician hating equality, who's in a country where they fucking enslaved black people for their skin color for 300 years and beat and raped and killed and tortured and whipped them. In a country where the police and sheriffs and judges were KKK. Barack Obama may be the most vile man in U.S. history. You see, you can't compare a Barack Obama to George Bush. Barack Obama is immeasurably worse. Just like Bill Clinton was the most Republican president in U.S. history. If you see what he did, he was 10 times more hardcore right-wing than the Bushes and Reagan combined. Because every journalist did what? Lied to you. Lied to everyone. Lied to all their friends. Lied to all of their families. Bush didn't lie to all of his friends and family. Dick Cheney didn't lie to all of his friends and family. But Obama did. And every journalist did. Village Voice did every day. They all lied to their friends and family. Now, right-wingers say you should drag these people into the woods and beat them to death. Liberals say, I hate to say it, but we need to drag these fucking super Nazis into the woods and beat them to death. Putting them in jail doesn't accomplish anything. Well, you're saying you're a mass murdering totalitarian group of fucking Nazi reporters. We should pay your rent? Feed you? House you? No. Jail doesn't work. Jail has never worked. There's one time where jail works, ladies and gentlemen. Let me be clear about this, because I'm a man who's gone to jail a lot of times. Oh, again, they gave me 6 years in jail just for 3 mass emails exposing the DA's crimes. 6 years in jail. I only served 2. And today they admit, okay, the statutes were illegal. We got busted. The Court of Appeals in 2014 did say we all broke the law. Thank goodness we're not going to get punished. Woo! We all broke federal law hundreds of thousands of times a year in New York City. We've been convicted. The appeals court said you all broke the law. They all said you flagrantly broke the law. People v. Gobe. It wasn't even close. It wasn't like, well, you could see this statute, harassment statute, as maybe constitutional. Nope. It said, the law said, any annoying speech, you do a year in jail. Now, it was long ago settled in federal court and Supreme Court that annoying speech is explicitly protected, from the middle finger to swear words. Explicitly and almost exclusively what the First Amendment free speech clause is for. It doesn't protect pleasant speech. Hi, Bob. Telling your wife, love your cooking. You don't need to protect speech that doesn't upset people. You need only to protect the speech that annoys the Obamas and Giulianis and Bloombergs and Bushes. Because in the past, if you insulted the king, you were going to the stockades, etc. People, it's 2015 and everyone is still playing complete dumb? Come on, people. I need your help. Or don't. Just keep sitting on your fucking ass. But I ask that you help us. Save you trillions of dollars. Stop crime, because remember, all crime in America is artificially created by who? The Republicans. We know where all these teenagers got guns. Remember, you can go back and look. They said crime was really bad in the 80s. Go look at how many teenagers were shooting each other in the 80s. Not many. The Republicans flooded the cities with guns. They ramped up the war on drugs because they knew, what would it do? What would the war on drugs do? What happened the last time they used prohibition? It created the mafia, the American mafia. Everyone agrees. Both sides agree. The Republicans created the mafia. We all agree. It's not open to debate, settled historically. The Republicans created the American mafia. Now, should they have gone to jail for that? Should they have actually probably been hung for it? Was it treason and treachery? I would argue too, but let's not go there. We all know there's only one place a teenage boy gets a handgun. It's not from working at McDonald's or a paper route. It's because the Republicans made all these little kids rich so they could buy all the guns and collect the guns. They could say, that wasn't the point. Well, you knew the first year, the second, the 10th, the 30th year. You knew the 50th, 60th, and 70th years of your war on drugs that you were arming criminals. You weren't stopping criminals. The more you arrested drug dealers, the more drug dealers there were. You can't say you didn't know that. I'm arguing in federal lawsuits. This is why all the liberals tried to stop me. I'm arguing in federal lawsuits that the war on drugs was an entire criminal conspiracy by law enforcement. Now remember, you still think, because they trained you from birth, to think law enforcement means people who are legal, authorities. Nope, that's not true. Nothing law enforcement does is legal. Again, it's not open to debate. Millions of laws have been passed by politicians all over the country, state, city, feds, that were later found to be illegal. Again, law is nothing more than the bullshit that a bunch of assholes who cheated their way into power said it is. We're lucky there's any good laws at all. We are lucky there's any good laws at all. But also a lot of it, we have to thank Ben Franklin and his buddies in Jefferson. Without them, you saw it. As soon as they were gone, the government went completely corrupt immediately and tried to overturn the Bill of Rights over and over again. The Alien Sedition Act is a good example. Almost immediately, they tried to get rid of the Bill of Rights. And they've tried to get rid of the Bill of Rights every day since. Now, again, what you don't realize is when a federal judge says, I'm gonna weaken the Fourth Amendment, first of all, that federal judge can't legally. Unless, first of all, he can't be a former prosecutor. That would be a conflict of interest, and it would violate the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause and violate the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Do you understand? You have to have a fair court system. Even the Nazis' court system, say the Jews, was a fair court system. Every Jew will tell you Anne Frank wasn't framed. She was literally guilty of the crime. Now, they could argue the laws were wrong, and they were. I would say, too, those laws were wrong. But zillions of American laws are wrong. But even worse, they don't even obey the laws that are not wrong, and they often don't obey the laws that are wrong. They do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want. Because who's going to stop them? You? Who's going to police them? You? Who's going to report it? The journalists? You live in a world, I hate this. I mean, we live in a world where people think we're better off than when we had slavery times. It's like, are you fucking nuts? Slaves had it better than black people today. The black people today are super slaves. But worse, they believe they're free. Thankfully, a lot of people are starting to wake up about this thanks to social media and go like, are we really free? Or are we slaves? No human should have to work 40 hours a week to put a roof over their heads. 20 hours. I'm one of those people who says housing should be a right. As Master Lee would say, he'd say the Indians didn't pay rent. How did they survive? None of them paid rent. Now, if somebody else builds your house, sure, they should get paid for building your house. But you should be able to build your own house and never pay property taxes. I'm digressing here. Let me give you, I do want to throw this one in because, again, I find that all my fellow left-wing activists are dumb as shit and are dishonest as shit. Because, again, it'd be one thing to be stupid, but when I talk to these people, they're not like, oh shit, you make good points. They get defensive that they were ignorant, and then they start to lie out of jealousy or ego or whatever. And Martin Luther King Jr. and Mandela, they all had these same problems. There's always these left-wing activists whose egos kick in. It's human nature. On all sides, you're going to have, remember, the problem is humans. It's not left-wing or right-wing. The problem is humans. They don't have any ethics. They only care about themselves. That's the way they were built. They're violent, dishonest, dumb. The human race is rotten to its core. And there's a lot of good people out there. But even the best people, even me, I'm the best human on earth. And if anybody wants to debate me, then why are you scared? Let's do it. Don't be scared. Don't be a coward. The last time I treated somebody bad, I was 7 years old. And I bullied this girl because everybody else was bullying, and she cried, and I felt like a douche. Not just because she cried, but I realized, why am I doing this? So I can fit in with these assholes? I hated myself. And that's why at 8, 9, and 10, I changed myself. I stopped lying at the age of 9. I wouldn't lie under any circumstances because my mother lied to me all the time. Funny aside, my mother used to lie to me and my sister about what she made us for lunch. I grew up in a household of nonstop lies. That's why I despise lies. I grew up in a house of nonstop violence. That's why I've been a pacifist my whole life. I've been the most assaulted human being of all time. You can't find a human being who's been half assaulted as me because I was a pacifist. So everybody would attack me because it made them feel like they suddenly had power. Just like the food chain of life. You're going to go after who's ever weaker than you. The pacifist is the weakest of all. So even all the other nerds who got bullied would come beat me up. Or throw chewing gum in my hair, or knock the books out of my hand to try and kiss up to the jocks or whoever. All despicable. And I've seen this pattern in every situation in human history. Again, if Mandela had been born white, he wouldn't have fought apartheid. If Martin Luther King Jr. had been born white, he wouldn't have given a fucking shit about racism. Self-serving, self-centered phonies. Don't get me wrong, they did some good. But again, we also agree the Volkswagen Beetle was great. We all agree that Bush did some good things. We all agree a broken clock is right twice a day. Giuliani, I'm the number one enemy of Giuliani on earth. And I can name a couple good things he did. He made the Staten Island Ferry free. Now, he did it for the wrong reasons. He did it for crooked reasons. But regardless, he took mass transit that cost money and made it free. Bloomberg, the dirtiest criminal who ever breathed air. I'll put, again, get your historians. I'll put Bloomberg against every mass murdering dictator in human history combined. Why are you scared to debate me? You say I'm wrong. Don't be chicken. Put your facts against mine in the comments. Cowards. Intellectual fucking ants. How am I the most beaten up human being of all time? I've been assaulted over actually by now it's about 6,000 times, by over 3,000 different people. If you can find me one slave, and there's plenty of books, all kinds of diaries, whatever you want. Find me one Jew, one slave, one anybody in human history. You can't be a boxer, professional boxer. Don't cheat. I'm so assaulted that the Bowery Poetry Club had to create a rule, no beating me up, because they saw people kept attacking me and it was fucking up the show. One time I was on stage, somebody threw a glass. They shut the show down for 10 minutes and said, who threw the fucking glass? You gotta leave. The fuck, you're not throwing glasses at artists on stage. But I kept getting assaulted so often, they had to create that rule. No beating me up. My pacifism, I admitted it always, I never said pacifism works. Pacifism absolutely does the opposite. Pacifism creates massive violence, right? You notice not too many countries have invaded us since we got the bomb. Since we got nuclear weapons, it's true. The mutually assured destruction works. I think it's either every human has to have a gun or no human can have a gun. It has to be equal, ladies and gentlemen. If everyone has a gun, you're going to see more shootings in some categories, and you're going to see a lot less shootings in other categories. And you're going to see a lot more bad guys get shot. You'll see a few more good guys get shot too. But you're mostly going to see a lot more bad guys get shot. Hell, we might get a bunch of people to kill all the politicians. Don't get me started. Let's stick to the point here. Judges. Again, under current laws today, federal laws, if a judge is a former prosecutor, that's illegal. Whoever installed that judge committed treason and violated the federal law, the highest laws in the land. The Constitution isn't a big federal law. It is the top law. It is so much more serious than murder statutes, etc. It's the highest law in the land. The Bill of Rights is the high. They don't want you to remember this. It trumps all other laws. They don't want you to remember that. Now, how can they say it doesn't violate due process? Again, most Americans don't know what due process is. They don't want you to know what due process is. They use terms like that, like legalese, to bore you, confuse you, make you tune out. It's all criminal conspiracy. Criminal conspiracy, criminal conspiracy. They could argue, that wasn't our intent. Then why'd you give it a name like due process, which sounds like fucking Japanese? Due process? What the fuck does that mean? Due process. Call it fairness. People understand that word. Fairness. You can't be in a divorce court, man versus wife, and the judge is the wife's dad. That would be unfair. Violates due process. Remember, spread the word. Due process means fairness. You cannot have a prosecutor investigate police misconduct because they're literally on the exact same team. The DA can't do his job if society doesn't trust police because all of the DA's prosecutions involve the police, their testimony, etc., their credibility. It's super illegal to have, every time a DA has prosecuted a police officer in U.S. history, it's not only a federal crime, it's not only the highest federal crime, it's also treason. Their goal was to overthrow our Constitution. No, it wasn't. Well, then why are you scared shitless to tell your side of the story? Why will none of these DAs not plead the fifth? Why are they scared shitless to tell us if they're right? Why are they so fucking scared to answer questions? Why are they all pleading the fifth? Remember, every DA, and you can ask any of them tomorrow, when a person won't answer questions, does it suggest guilt? And they'll tell you, every time a person doesn't cooperate or answer questions, it always means guilt. And cops will tell you that too. And I say, we all agree, every DA is dirty, and pretty much every cop is dirty. You just said it yourself. Oh, or can I go out and find a cop who won't answer a question? Give me 3 minutes. Anybody want to take me on? Anybody? We'll go to any police station, any precinct in America. Come on. Make me eat my words, cowards. You fucking Nazi cowards. Nazi cowards. Do you follow me? A judge being a prosecutor, ex-prosecutor, there's only one reason you would do that. Obviously, they have a bias. Obviously, they already hate the Bill of Rights. Right? If you're a prosecutor, the Bill of Rights is your enemy. I don't understand how Americans don't get this. The Bill of Rights is the exact enemy of all prosecutors, cops, judges, and DAs. So how the fuck is the referee of this Bill of Rights a judge? That's a conflict. If we have judges deciding the Bill of Rights, that's illegal. See? Now that's a pretty big concept. The Supreme Court can't legally decide any constitutional issues because they have a conflict of interest. They all are the enemies by their very nature. The Bill of Rights exists, calls all judges criminals. The Bill of Rights curbs the powers of judges. That's what it was for. That's what it was created for, to protect us from these scumbags in law enforcement. Because the Founding Fathers were victims of law enforcement. The Founding Fathers were threatened by police, were attacked by police. The civil libertarians, the revolutionaries, were attacked by police. That's why even in the Third Amendment, which doesn't really matter much anymore, where they say you can't have the police come and stay in your house. Now, they mean soldiers at the time, but the soldiers were the same thing as the police, the king's police. They were the soldiers. And he'd say, I'm sending a whole bunch of troops over there right now to fucking give you a police state, but we don't have enough fucking houses for them. So if they want, they can fucking sleep in your bed. Fuck your wife. That's why the Third Amendment exists. It's not really that relevant anymore, but even back then, the Bill of Rights isn't ambiguous. Over and over it says law enforcement is the criminal. So how can you allow a judge, who the Bill of Rights says is a criminal, to be the arbiter or the referee of whether the Bill of Rights should apply or not? You see the conflict of interest? It's absolutely insane. It's so insane that every single American believed it was real. Of course, I live in a world where 2 billion people believe in a virgin birth, so I'm the idiot. I'm the fucking idiot. Again, remember, if we have honest judges, the dirty DAs are out of business. If we have honest judges, the dirty cops are out of business. If we have honest judges, the dirty businessmen are out of business. And if we have honest judges, the dirty politicians are out of business. So we control. If you see it, when everybody jaywalks, law enforcement looks the other way. If enough of us demand judges who are former law enforcement, we can get it. We could pull that off very quickly. You see it, even the Republicans now are using the left-wing talking points. We need prison reform. We need prison reform. They're saying, uh, they're saying things like, what was the other one? The big one. We need prison reform. I mean, remember, you can't find one issue where the Republicans and right-wing kooks didn't come around to our side. You can't find me a Republican who still thinks the earth is flat. You can't find me a right-winger who still says the earth is the center of the universe. You can't find me a right-winger who still says tobacco is good for you. In every situation in history, the right-wingers, it took a long time because they're stupid or dishonest. In every single situation, we liberals have a 100% success rate. That's pretty damn good, 100%. I would argue that's very high. 100% success rate against the right-wing Nazis. It just depends on how hard you work, how fast we can change this. You see? You control it. See, social media is a dangerous weapon. The internet is a dangerous weapon. I don't have the ability because my reputation has been destroyed, and I'm just a guy who harasses young girls, say the left-wing newspapers and the right-wing newspapers, and most of the left-wing activists in New York City who say, why would the New York Post lie? Every liberal I know says, why would the New York Post lie about you? I mean, you expose their financial crimes, but that wouldn't give them motive to smear you. That's what every liberal said. And I've met a lot of liberals. From Ron Kuby to Norman Siegel, two celebrated civil rights attorneys, both right-wing phonies. I wish it wasn't so. They've done good work too. Again, just like Hitler, love the Volkswagen Beetle. Great car. In fact, the best car ever made. A lot of us would argue. Bravo. Of course, I've already proven the Nazis weren't 1% as evil as the USSA. In fact, Hitler stole almost all of his ideas from us. Who did ethnic cleansing first? Try and wipe away a whole race to steal their property and land and gold. Who did that first? We are the great Satan. It's funny that anyone tries to argue. When Iran says we're the great Satan, it's like, and? Tell us something we don't already know. Everyone knows the country was founded on mass murder and genocide and ethnic cleansing. Everybody knows that. We stole all land. Everybody knows that. That's not a secret that America is the greatest Satan in the history of mankind. It's not a secret. Because it was stolen. America was, well, I mean, it was never honest, obviously. But the Founding Fathers did some good. And we are to blame for not standing up for the Bill of Rights. You can't find me Occupy Wall Street talking about this stuff. Occupy Wall Street did a lot of shit to help the police and the right wing. I can give you a long list. Don't get me started. I wish it wasn't so. They did a lot of good work, but they mostly did a lot of bad work. Let's just finish this. 42 minutes, fuck. Ladies and germs, again, help me spread the word. Almost every judge in this country is a treacherous, treasonous criminal under current laws. Again, a judge can never, ever, ever. Now, some people would say, they'd be like, well, no, it's got to be a balance. You know, some judges are ex-prosecutors and some conservatives, and some judges are liberals and what was I saying? And ex-defense attorneys or against law enforcement. That's not how it works. Every judge, by federal law, has to work for defense. In fact, that's the only purpose of judges in criminal cases. And every judge forgets this. I gave speeches every time I was in front of the judge to remind them, you took an oath to uphold the Bill of Rights. Every time you don't, you've committed a federal crime. Also, you're not here to just be a fair referee. They really aren't. They're there, and this is already in the federal case law, etc. I didn't make this shit up. It's already not only law on the Bill of Rights, it's been reinforced by the Supreme Court and others. Judges have to err. All judges have to be liberal. It's already in the law. Every judge has to be a liberal. You cannot, by law, have a conservative judge. Because liberal means liberty. And our Bill of Rights and our entire Constitution and et cetera, and our way of life in America is based on liberty. You see? It's based on liberty. If you installed a conservative judge, then your only intention can be to destroy that liberal liberty. Every judge in America, well, maybe not everyone. But again, you have plenty of Democratic liberal judges who are ex-law enforcement. And some of them do the right thing, and some of them don't. You have right-wing nutjob judges who will do the right thing. Again, you cannot judge a person by their good deeds. Everyone I know says we should judge people by their good deeds. And not one of them practices what they preach, first of all, so they're all fucking liars. And two, they're all wrong. So they're double criminals, you see? Everyone says you should look on the bright side. It's like, not one of you do. You always all look at the bad things Hitler did. You all look at the bad things Bush did. You all look on the dark side, you fucking two-faced liars. You all look on the dark side, you liars. You only look on the bright side when it benefits you, you two-faced hypocrites. What was I saying? I blanked. I'll make this point hopefully quickly. To judge a person by their good deeds is to do this. Well, yes, the priest raped Billy. But look at all the kids the priest didn't rape. Let's focus on that. Let's judge. This priest has raised money for the community. Yes, he raped all of our children. But let's focus on the good things he did. That's not how it works in reality, you fucking nut jobs. You fucking psychopaths and sociopaths out there. Anyone who points out a good deed by a human being is a psychopath. A deranged, evil in their hearts psychopath. I never judged a person by their good deeds, and I have always challenged people. Don't judge me by my good deeds. I've done a lot of good, yes. I don't want to be judged by my good deeds because that would be dishonest and phony. I want you to judge me on my bad deeds. Name some of my bad deeds. Come on. Can anybody name one? Because everybody, you wouldn't believe how many people in New York City call me an asshole, etc. Left wing and right wing. They all say, he's a fucking asshole, he's a fucking douchebag. It's like, well, then why don't you list one of my sins? No, he's a crazy douchebag. He's an asshole. Okay. You didn't answer the question. Name one of my sins. Well, you harass people. It's vague. You were vague because you thought you were lying. If you were, you would have been specific if you thought the facts backed you up. You would have said, he did exactly this. But none of you did. You say things like, you harassed a girl. Now, never mind that I didn't, but even if that was true, the fact that you used the word harassment means you couldn't think of my specific crime. Because there was no specific crime. I invite people every day. I challenge people. I'm a bombastic, arrogant motherfucker. And every day I'm insulted by people every day online, in real life. And every one of them, I say, name once. I did bad. Not twice. Can you think of once? And none of them can. And I say, that's very flattering. Thank you. If you have to make up shit about me, New York Times, if you have to make shit up about me, New York Post, what are you really saying about me? Thank you. Very nice of you. And all my critics have to make up shit. You'll notice that you can't find anybody who wants to debate me. Remember, I had Giuliani on live radio in front of millions of listeners, and he wouldn't debate me. I'd ask him simple questions like, why should you get free rent and the rest of us don't? That's obviously, of course, a federal crime, equal protection. If a politician gets a free house, we do too. The only thing where we can maybe give him slack is the White House. I will cut you slack and say, okay, we can give the president an official residence because his job is really big and there's probably a fuckload of people who would love to assassinate him. There's not that many governors being assassinated, not that many mayors. So why do they all have mansions? Guess who gave them the mansions? King George gave all the governors those mansions. All of it's a fucking lie. All of it's a criminal conspiracy. All of it's illegal under current laws. We control the future, people. They don't. The problem isn't that they're clever. The problem is that the majority will not do anything. You won't exercise your powers, flex your muscles. You won't even make an angry phone call. You won't even write an angry email. You might bitch to your friends. You all criticize the government together, which is a waste of time. Oh, let me leave you with this. Here's an example of fixing shit is not as hard as you humans think it is. Example. I would go to Key Food on Avenue A in the East Village when I lived there, and I would go and get the Greek salad. Every time I'd go, because I had to go late at night because I was busy doing other stuff, and I would go, and the big tray of Greek salad, you couldn't see much feta cheese. Now, I'm weird. When I get Greek salad, It's not because I want the cucumbers. It's because I want that feta cheese. And to be done, I'd have to say to the guy, could you make sure there's not a lot of feta cheese left? Could you maybe scrape as much as you can in? They'd say, sure. And I'd have it, and I'd look at the plastic container, see-through clear. There's no feta cheese. But I'm always in a hurry and shit, so I'd be like, fuck, I don't have time. I'm fucking starving. I don't fucking, I'd leave. This happened a dozen times. And I thought, is nobody else paying attention? Does no one else care but me? So I did a simple thing. I went online, found the Key Food headquarters, sent them an angry email. Well, it wasn't that angry, but I sent them an email because I knew this is the kind of thing that could probably be pretty easily fixed. And they just don't remember the people who do it, the workers don't give a fuck, and the supervisors are asleep. Now, if they knew, they might say, put some more fucking cheese in there, you motherfuckers. One email. They wrote me back. They said, we're going to fix that. I went in a couple days later, and holy fuck, mountains of feta cheese. And even if it runs out later on, they put more in. You see that? One email by me improved everybody's life. Except for the worker who has to do a little bit more work, maybe. I find that my fellow humans almost never do that. They just complain and then go back to suffering. They don't fight back like the Jews. They just line up for the ovens. They don't fight back like the slaves. They're like, there's only tens of millions of us slaves. How are we going to defeat thousands of slave owners? Oh, we can't win this battle. Let's get back to picking the cotton. Again, target judges and media. Because if we can make either judges or media honest, we solve every other problem automatically. Because if judges are honest, there can be no more dirty big business, no more dirty government, no more dirty cops. Or, likewise, if we get rid of all dirty... There also can't be any dirty journalists or media if judges are honest, because they would put them all in jail for fraud, deception, etc. And, or if we target reporters and media, there can be no dirty cops, businesses, politicians, etc. The solutions are easy. What I find is nobody's doing shit. I don't see Occupy Wall Street doing anything about it. You can chew out Wall Street all you want, but that's like pissing in your own face. What does Wall Street have to do with anything? Sure, they're the great villains, but if you clean up Wall Street, which would be almost impossible to do. Let's say you clean up Wall Street. Well, now now let's clean up bad police. Okay, all right. So you spend 50 years and then all right. Now we have to clean up the other 50 billion symptoms of corrupt media and corrupt judges. Is that your plan? You're going to go after 50 billion symptoms in a row instead of just solving them all with one swing? I'll never understand you humans if I live to be I'm a super genius, and I'll never understand you human beings. You're insane. You're fucking insane. Don't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm a real nice guy, but I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I hate that. I get people every day that are saying, if you weren't so brash, people would listen to you. I'm like, I know. I shouldn't be a brash douche like Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi and Mandela. Mandela wouldn't have gone to jail if he had just been polite. Gandhi wouldn't have been beaten by the police, smeared in the newspapers, and murdered if he had just been soft-spoken. Martin Luther King Jr.'s problem wasn't that he was challenging the powers that be. His problem was his tone of voice. Does anybody believe these stupid fucktards? Does anybody really believe that shit? Galileo, no, he humiliated the Vatican. They would have been fine with him completely humiliating their religion, making them look like liars and insane lunatics, if he had just phrased it differently. Are you sure about that? Are you humans sure about that? Because people tell me this every day, and almost all of them are left-wingers. They say, it's your delivery. Oh, that's why they beat up and murdered Martin Luther King Jr. and smeared him in the newspapers. Again, New York Times called Martin Luther King Jr. an agitator Negro. It should, actually, by law, it should say that at the top of their newspaper. Never forget, we called Martin Luther King Jr. an agitator Negro. Because that would then tell their customers, Every day they'd be like, oh, that's right. It's a fucking rag owned by the establishment. Their job is to lie to us to protect their business interests. Oh, that's right. See? By not putting the truth on their papers every day, they mislead their customers. Hell, their slogan is fraud. All the news that's fit to print, nobody believes that. Even they don't believe it. Their argument would be, well, we put it in quotation marks, so it's not fraud. Really? So all Madoff had to do was put his lies in quotation marks and he wouldn't have gone to prison? Fucking shut the fuck up, you fucking Nazi thugs. You know who supported Hitler? The New York Times. That's why everyone calls them liberal. The liberals call them liberal, and the right-wingers call them liberal. But us intelligent human beings call them right-wing fucking fascist Nazi thugs. Yes, there were a few liberal writers at the paper. Some of their editorials are liberal. Whoop-de-doo. Actions speak louder than editorials. Over and out. Please, please, CIA, I'm begging you. If you've ever had any humanity, please kill me. I can't kill myself and end this suffering and pain because I have all the answers. If I'm going to kill anybody, it shouldn't be the one person who never let me down. Agreed? If I'm going to kill anybody on this planet, why would I kill the nicest person I've ever heard of or seen, who always does unto others, and when he ran for mayor, pitched an do unto others law? I think it should be law. If you can call 911 because your neighbor's stereo is too loud, shouldn't I be able to call 911 when a police officer breaks the law? Shouldn't I be able to call 911 when a politician lies? Shouldn't I be able to call 911 when somebody fucks over another human being? What's worse? And I hate to give this example, but I'm just going to be lazy. A spouse cheats on their spouse versus your neighbor's stereo being too loud. What is more destructive to a human life? Loud stereo. Husband cheats on her wife and destroys her emotionally and psychologically. That's right, you all agree with me. Everything is backwards. Everything is upside down. And that's why do unto others is so great. Because it's what they try to teach you from birth is there's differences of opinion. No, there aren't differences of opinion. It's a lie. Yes, there are, like some people might like peanut butter on their pizza, and some people love to drink a tall glass of orange juice with their pizza. Oh, wait a minute. No, most of us don't. You know what? I bet you could guess what I like to have with my pizza. Big glass of milk. You have ESP. You know exactly what I like to drink when I have a slice of pizza. What liquid do I like to drink with a slice of pizza? If you still don't believe we live in a matrix where everything is preordained, everything is utterly predictable and robotic, I bet you $500 you know you can read my mind. I bet you $500 you know what my favorite liquid is when I eat a slice of pizza. Is it coffee? Here, I'll give you multiple. I'll give you a multiple choice. Coffee? Hot cocoa? I'm trying to think of liquids. I'm blanking. Tea? Kombucha? Vanilla milkshakes? Pepsi or Coke? Did my ESP prove that you also have ESP? Did you guess Pepsi or Coke? Damn, you are good. See? You're not half as dumb as you think you are. You're not half as dumb as you play. So why don't we in 2015, let's all stop playing dumb. Let's all act like adults. And let's, instead of just complaining, let's fix this shit. We're in a great place. Everyone's fucking pissed. The fucking political process is collapsing. The Republicans are completely confused. The Democrats are completely confused. Trump and Sanders are doing great. Fucking changing all the no one even knows where the polls are. You got the fucking right-wingers quoting Martin Luther King Jr. We have a right to break laws and civil disobedience. All the fucking racist bigots are quoting Martin Luther King Jr. It's fucking hilarious. Shit's changing. The gay marriage and the weed thing is huge. And it's just a start. So what else do you want? Make a list and spread the news with your friends. Do you think we should legalize prostitution, saving billions, tax dollars, regulate it and tax it, earning billions of dollars, and whatever the fucking adults do, they were already doing it anyhow. We didn't stop anybody. So should we save billions and earn billions, or keep doing it the way the Republicans want to do it? And the more of us who say, now I personally think prostitution is the worst. I think it's horrific, personally. I think it's horrific in every way. As a man, I don't want to fuck a girl who's fucked 500 other guys. That's not how we men operate. We're romantic at heart. It's the women who don't have any romance, who don't care about love. Sorry, ladies. If you want to debate, let's do it. Let's debate, ladies. I got plenty of evidence against you. Most women, not all, but most women don't care about romance. They say they do, but you can watch their actions. Their actions prove they don't care. They will go through men like toilet paper. They will keep climbing that ladder, always trying to upgrade to a better boyfriend, better man. They all do it. Again, we can do the test, lady. There's not a woman out there in this world who will say, I will take you up on that bet. We're going to get Brad Pitt to try and seduce 500 women who were married in the last month. And you're going to see that not one of those brides ditches her man for Brad Pitt. You're not going to find a single feminist, fake feminist. I'm a feminist. There's a lot of fake feminists. Don't be fooled by the fake feminists, like the National Organization for Women. Those are fake feminists. They claim to be feminists, but they don't support females at all. That's why they endorsed Mike Bloomberg, the most anti-feminine politician in U.S. history. One example. That's why they banned me from their debates. They said, we can't allow a feminist in this debate. He was in the debate 4 years ago here, and he kicked ass, and he was the most feminist candidate we'd ever seen. The women in the audience went nuts for him. Not just because I looked like a rock star. They went nuts for me because I had the best ideas and solutions. And I stick up for the underdog. So now knew I was the number one feminist in America, and they knew Bloomberg was the number one anti-feminist in America. That's why they fully supported him and broke federal laws to block me and silence me. You say, well, it was a coincidence. Nope. If you ask them, they won't answer your questions because they're right-wingers, pretending to be better than that. That's the worst. I hate. It's one thing. Be honest. A lot of these liberals are scumbag right-wingers, but they like to think they're better than the other side. You're not. You're, in fact, even dirtier than the other side is. I'm going off and off on tangents here. Fuck. I'm shutting up. I apologize, ladies and germs. Unbelievable. Oh, let me point this out. I spent 7 hours today to accomplish nothing. My new Seagate hard drive doesn't work. I spent 3 hours online. Their own instructions, nothing works. I spent hours calling up my elected representatives because I needed their help with a couple little simple problems on a local level. Things they could solve in one phone call. And half of them, their voicemails don't work. You try to contact them through online. Doesn't work. It's all fake. It's all fake. 7 hours just today. Every day I spent hours and hours to move my finger from here to here because of what these fucking right-wing Nazis and these corporate pieces of shit did to us. Again, if they murdered us all, they would say, yes, if we murder you all, you have a right to pick up guns and kill us. You have a right to strangle us to death. You have a right to fight back. But if we don't murder you, and instead we make your lives even worse and enslave you for 80 years, you don't have a right to fight back. Does anybody agree with that still? Again, most of us would take death over torture. Most humans. Look at the suicide rates. I think this is already settled. Keeping us alive is even worse than murdering us. What you did is worse than mass genocide. When people say, Bloomberg didn't kill 6 million Jews, he's not worse than Hitler, I'm like, I would rather be killed in 2 minutes in an oven than enslaved and suffer a miserable, heartbreaking life for 80 years because you ruined everything. There's no contest. Mass genocide is infinitely superior to not mass genocide. Until you fucking criminals stop raping us all every day. And the fucking corporations. Every single thing didn't work today. Fucking pieces of shit. I'm glad this at least worked. Because most of the other stuff on the Mac today didn't work. Of course, it's a brand new Mac and I paid a lot of money for it. You get what you pay for, they said. Fraud and conspiracy. Spread the word. None of this shit is legal. The more Americans who make noise, the sooner we're going to have judges who are all honest and lawful and liberal and care about liberty and actually protect the Bill of Rights. You control the future. They don't. You do. There are a lot more of us than them. Spread the word. The revolution is coming.